So let's start this incredible session on AI and environment. I will be your moderator. So my name is Vincent de Montalivet, and I am actually leading sustainable AI offering within Perform AI at Capgemini. So if we can move on the next slide, we will have a quick overview of our program. In this session, I will have like a quick introduction, and then we will have three experts who will take the floor to explain how AI is acting today for a better environment by sharing some project experiences, and then I will take over the floor again for a quick conclusion. But before talking about AI and environment, we wanted to ask you a very simple question. So you know how does it work? You just need to go on menti.com and insert this new code. So the question is, do you think AI is a threat or a chance for the environment? So please take your phone or your laptop anyway, and go on menti.com and insert this code. You can also scan it, this QR code. Thank you, Tanvir. And this will be a good way for us to better know where we start, if you think it is a threat or a chance for the environment. Let's wait for a couple of seconds that you can vote directly on menti.com. Tanvir, just let me know when we do have a result. Oh, perfectly, I can see it. It is still moving or no? Oh,
yes, it is. It is. On the bottom right, you can see the number of people.
Okay. So most of the people here are thinking it's an opportunity, which is great. There's still 2 people within the room that think it's a threat, or which is good as well. So then we can have a debate. Okay, so hopefully at the end of the session, everybody will then think that AI is very a threat for the environment, and this is great that we have already so much people that are seeking that it is an opportunity. So if we move on, as a quick introduction, we wanted to share with you some insight regarding the cities. Actually, some of you maybe noticed that when the lockdown was imposed on half of the world population, we saw some videos that has been shared on social media showing wild animals peacefully walking on the city streets. You may not which one I am talking about, and you might have seen some duck in Paris street, or maybe the puma in Santiago de Chile, or some birds in Germany, in Berlin, or the invasion of monkeys in Thailand, and so on. So it was the very first time from a long time ago that finally these species came back in their territories where human has built cities. So today, to give you some example as well, we expected 80% of the European citizens live in cities by 2050, and the carbon footprint of the cities is massive compared to the occupation of the planet landmass. So therefore, cities must play a crucial role in tackling climate change. So we see here that city will need to go further the boundaries to, let's say, build a new alliance with the nature, conserve biodiversity, and doing that as a complete healthy and sustainable ecosystem. And we will talk more about sustainable city in this session, and we will see some very nice AI4Environment application that will definitely help tackling these challenges. So before moving on, application and solution, let's see first what are the 6 SDG behind the environment. So that we'll talk about today. So here on the screen, we can start with the first one, which is about energy. We are talking about energy, like what is the sustainable energy for tomorrow, how we move away from fossil fuel, and how we go into renewable energy. We have now passed the oil peak and still looking at how we can store energy and build new energy, use it, for example, hydrogen or stuff like that. One of the good news here is that wind and solar facilities accounted for more than 66% on over the 265 gigawatts of new power capacity installed worldwide in 2019. So it's pretty good news for, let's say, the SDG regarding energy. The second one is more about sustainable city. So we have a brief introduction on that just before, and this is definitely a key for sustainable development, and we will cover that later on as well. Third one is about the way we produce, we consume, either it is local, for you have heard from the zero pesticide, zero plastic, and we still have a big challenge with plastic consumption, and we will talk about today as well. This SDG is also about having a sustainable food and agriculture as well. So we will have some use cases here also. Then number 13 is about, of course, the climate change, the GHG emission, the global warming, and how can we use AI to help, for example, to prevent natural disaster. We'll talk about later as well. To conclude this SDG, the number 14th and 15th, it is more about biodiversity conservation, having healthy oceans to preserve our marine and sea resources and protect our life on land. So global biodiversity monitoring is urgently needed across the world to assess the impact of environmental change and biodiversity, and we will have a very nice use case today to present to you. So let's see at first a quick teaser with some potential usage of AI for environment. Okay, we'll come back later on the spatial history and industry. But to move on the next slide, I just wanted to share with you that despite the advances made by AI, as we saw on this video, and as agreed by almost 90% of the audience so far, and by another survey from Intel, it was 74% that agreed with the potential benefits of AI for the environment. AI system can also consume a lot of power and can, let's say, generate a high volume of carbon emission as well. So we might have read some articles on that hot topic too. So here are the facts, and it is definitely a key subject when implementing AI. And we do need to make sure the benefits of AI in terms of environmental footprint, the benefits outweigh its carbon footprint itself. So it's a balancing act, and we are working on that at Capgemini by implementing what we call the green AI methodologies with a dedicated framework, and we can come back later if we have time with the question. So if we move on to the next slide, some highlighted national strategy regarding this topic. We we've seen that, for example, in the UK, they put on the table some money to work on this climate change issue by funding 1,000 new PhD places. We also have in China that focus on implementing big data technologies with 5G and specific IoT to implement AI to save the environment. We can see also India that is really leading its national strategy about clean energy and use AI to power energy grid. And then finally, Israel, this national strategy are referring to smart mobility, smart city to reduce the pollution within the city. So we're trying to covering some example regarding the SDG. Then the last slide for my introduction, and then I will leave the floor for the experts. It's about how we can, of course, unlock all these solutions for the environment. So we all know now the challenges. So what are the solutions? Very briefly, for the energy challenges, AI is now helping, for example, big solar farm to optimize the production depending on sun exposition. We also have some suppliers that adapt their production regarding the overall demand. And we actually use some data coming from the weather or some external data relevant to optimize this overall process. So for the agriculture and sustainable food, it is more about how, again, thanks to AI, we predict the exact amount of nutrients for growing the crops by using, again, weather or other sources of information of like satellite images to capture some dedicated pattern of illness, for example. And for the climate monitoring, we have seen some of the work that can be done on the video earlier. And we also know that used to transform territory to a more, let's say, the zero carbon territory, like smart mobility, AI for more efficient traffic control, or air quality tracking, to give you a few examples. Then for biodiversity monitoring, it's more about using capture vision again, for example, for satellite images or other drone technology that will help in spacing detections or monitoring our global resources. And we will have some experts with dedicated slot to talk about that later. So to conclude this slide, the smart disaster prediction, it is about natural disaster like flood risk or some heat zone or even the fire risk. And actually, we will have now Delphine that will talk notably about AI applied to fire risk. So please, Delphine, the floor is yours. You can now move on your experiences and talk about this fire risk.
Great. I'm Delphine Bello, a scientific project manager and space application. I work in the scientific office of Capgemini on different topics, environmental topics that I could present you. If you can, not the next slide, please. Thanks. So we use satellite data for monitoring environment. So what can we do with satellite? What are our possibility to have when we combine satellite data and artificial intelligence? From my point of view, what's interesting is that satellite data is that we can observe the Earth. We can are independent of weather, what it's cloudy or raining. Satellite data provide a worldwide coverage and a multi-layer imagery, so there are a multi-band. So there are a lot of data, and among those data that can be process it to provide add value product, and this way it's possible with artificial intelligence. And in Capgemini, we know how to work with this data. So I want to focus on two topics. Fire management. It's one project. Then we have make. It's Capgemini leverage satellite image and artificial intelligence to provide fire risk management and to identify burn area. So as you know, in the past few years, numbers fire causing millions of burns land and numbers of deaths. And there is a real problem of security of population. So if you look to next, so we use satellite data to have to monitor this. We need to update land cover information, fuel moisture, wind speed, weather condition, and to combine these different parameters, we need to use artificial intelligence for that. This application need to have a level of the risk of the fire risk, and this risk is mainly due to the result of two key parameters. First is the vulnerability, like usage of land cover and socioeconomic data to identify urban area, sensibility area, biodiversity reserves. And the two factor is fire probability. Is computed according to biomass and weather condition. So in addition of this application that is presented here, we have done some work on fire propagation forecast and evaluation of fire impact. It's a tool, it's a decision tool to in order to strategically deploy firefighters on field. It's okay. Maybe you can switch on the next focus I want to talk about. It's about another big issue of pollution in environment. It's the pollution of ocean by plastic. It's a project that is included in the ESA Copernicus program. ESA program provide free and open data worldwide to help us to monitor our planets and many ecosystems. So we want to have we need to begin a project to drive the feasibility to detect, to identify and detect the presence of plastic in the oceans. It's very hard. It's very harder to because the old technology, science technology was not able to detect this. Because it's the detection of plastic is a real problem. So we need to use deep learning methods to demonstrate if it is feasible to detect or not the plastic. For that, maybe the next slide. Okay. For that, we are associated with scientific of the university and combine spectra of plastic measure in a laboratory, chlorophyll mixing, the water component mixing to create some free data set at the bottom of atmosphere. It's the ground, and at top of atmosphere and at the spectra, at the sensor spectra. And these three datasets are in an artificial intelligence training, and the first result show that in certain conditions it is possible to separate the water of the plastic. But it's just the first result, and it's very interesting. And if it's work and it's work good, that can be a huge step for the cleaning of the oceans. Next, yes, and to finish, just to show you that in our team we work on since these two topics, and we work in other topics like agriculture for rice, vine, or tree monitoring. We have some assets on disaster management like fire or flood, and we also have working on air quality. I think my time is over. And so
Thank you very much, Delphine.
If you have some question at the end.
Yes, for sure. We will take the question at the end. Then we have next Advik. Advik, can you hear us?
Yeah, you're hearing me?
Yes, perfectly. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Advik Johnson from Capgemini in Norway. And I'm here to talk about the Capgemini's Global Data Science Challenge. If you go to the next slide, please, Tonje. Yeah, and yeah, also the next one after that would be great. Yeah, so firstly, a bit of background on the competition itself, which is really all about learning about AI and also getting hands-on experience with the use of artificial intelligence. Thus, it's competition that's open to all Capgemini employees, and in this most recent edition, nearly 700 teams competed in the competition. And this year's goal was to help marine biologists in their research on sperm whales. And sperm whales have since 2006 been listed as an endangered species on the IUCN Red List due to extensive hunting dating back from the 18th century to today, and other more modern threats such as naval sonars, ghost fishing gear, and this makes it a very important task to protect the species now more than ever. And scientists dedicate their lives to monitoring the movements, observe the social structures of the whales, and ensure the protection of the species, which is not be possible without knowledge on how they behave down to sort of an individual level. They have to be able to identify a single whale and recognize it. So the goal of the competition was then to utilize the advancements in AI and image recognition to help the researchers in their work and to be able to identify the whale individuals. So to track and protect the sperm whale, researchers traditionally have identified them by images of their flukes or their tails, which can be described as sort of fingerprints in a sense. On the image on the right, you can see the two top images are of the same whale, which have the same contour, especially on the back end of the tail, while the third one is of a completely different whale, but then has a different pattern both on the trailing edge and also on the fin itself. For a human to do this is an incredibly difficult task, as you have to be able to both identify the whales, recognize them, and also then catalog thousands of whale sightings over decades, and some whales may not reappear within a period of 10 years, so it's nearly impossible to actually find the match. And as you see on the image on the left as well, there's some very significant changes that happens to these flukes. The example there is from an orca attack, but the whales get damages in other ways as well. They grow, of course, over time. So it's a very difficult challenge. Next slide, please. So how can you solve this problem with the use of AI? And I'll give you a very, very brief introduction to the topic. So the problem can be solved using AI by making the AI models themselves create future representations of the images, and then comparing them to find other similar images containing the same specific features. And then through a trial and error process, artificial intelligence models learn to find the most important features, find similarities and differences between images, and all this happens without any human input. Then in the end, the results are, of course, compared to separate validation and test sets to ensure that the results are good, and verifying them. Next slide, please. So in the end, then my team who won the competition, we were able to achieve a 97% accuracy on this task, and then given images from the test set and try to guess what the individual the image is of. And that's great, but one of the sort of key topics that's been discussed throughout this entire workshop is sort of the explainability and interpretability of artificial intelligence, and we wanted to apply that to this problem as well. And the figures you see on the right is how we try to analyze how the artificial intelligence was able to get such a good result. And what we found was, I guess not surprising, but very encouraging, because it has picked up on the exact same methods as the researchers that themselves say they use. See examples of it paying close attention to the trailing edge of the flukes, white dots or pink dots where there are markings on the fins themselves, and this gives us great confidence that the model has generalized well. It will continue on working well into the future, and we're also able to sort of interpret the results when the algorithm is wrong, and so then explain why did it happen and make improvements as we go. Also, yeah, or we can go to the next slide. Yeah, and then finally, it's really no point in applying fancy deep learning models, getting the perfect results all the time, if it's not usable for the researchers themselves. They are the ones who need these tools and will use them to continue on their important work. And thus we created the web application that makes this entire process very simple, rather than the time-consuming and cumbersome experience they had from before. But it also opens up new possibilities in that they're now able to collaborate on a much higher level, find the same whales across the world, and better understand their movements, their behavior, and such. That will hopefully be a great help also in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Advig, for sharing these experiences on tracking whales for species protection. So now we have on stage Shugu and Joachim. Can you hear us, guys?
Yes,
Yes.
I would like
Yes.
to take over and
I
share
will
my
stop-
screen.
I'll stop sharing my screen right now, so you can proceed with yours.
Yeah. So thank you for the opportunity to present this hopefully exciting story. Just want to know, do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, perfect. This story is about how AI can enable a new and innovative ecosystem to assure sustainable forest life for the benefit of us all living on this planet. So this is a collaboration between Shagwaski, representing the Indigenous trappers in Canada, and the reinsurance company SCORE and the IT company Sogeti, which is part of the Capgemini group. The ones giving this presentation will be me, Joachim from Sogeti, and Shugo from Shagwaski. And first, to set the scene, let's watch this video together.
First Nations trappers have the forest as their home, their workplace, and their lifestyles. To go back to find balance, we go back to what we've been practicing for 100 years as our treaty rights, and to pass on our knowledge to our children and their children. We have seen changes in our climate and our areas.
All of this affects our livelihood as trappers. Also, it destroys our medicinal plants.
Aggressive and incomplete forest management practices, along with extreme fires, are devastating for trappers. In the Western world, we are also recognizing that there are negative changes. We are aware that we live on the Earth's resources. At the same time,
Well, what if we work together? For our project, it means that partners in tech, trade, and trust work together to achieve balance. When others join us, they will not see clear cuts as being bad, but they will not also see them everywhere. They'll see them as tools to manage fire. When others join us, they will not see fires in the forest and wood pellets as bad. Rather, they will see controlled fires in the forest and certain brands of wood pellets as tools to manage the fuel load in the forest to avoid the extreme forest fires. Working together means balance in how we see things, how we speak, and what we do. But we must do because faith without action is pointless. First Nation trappers will play an important role in developing nature-based solutions as we work together. Johnson, a trapper, provides a good reflection of his hopes. He hopes we work together. He hopes their voices are heard. He hopes you can protect what is, you can help protect what is cherished the most. By keeping the trees standing and with First Nation trappers as our guide, nature will direct forest stewardship. This is how we will do it. Our focus will be to reduce forest fire risk. That is what we will do. Finally, our project creates many jobs, supporting many families and communities. Our project will protect and restore biodiversity, and our project will help globally achieve net zero carbon targets. We are proud to have worked on this with our tech partner Sogeti and our good friend SCORE. So First Nation trappers will play an important role in developing nature-based solutions as we work together. Johnson, the trapper, provides a good reflection of his hopes. He hopes we work together. He hopes their voices are heard. He hopes you can help protect what is cherished the most. By keeping the trees standing and with First Nation trappers as our guide, nature will direct forest stewardship. This is how we will do it. Our focus will be to reduce forest fire risk. This is what we will do. Finally, our project will create many jobs supporting many families and communities. The project will protect and restore biodiversity. Our project will help globally achieve net zero carbon targets. We are proud to have worked on this with our tech partner Sogeti and our good friend SCORE.
So I have reconnected. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect. That's good. I don't really know where you lost me in or where I lost you. I don't know what happened. But I continue in this. To enable a new and scalable way of working, that we combine the ability and the forces from the indigenous trappers and the Western world, we need AI to be part of the core. In Sogeti, we have created geosatellite intelligence, where we combine satellite images from ESA and AI and data science to do distance surveillance. Next. This is a journey. Please click once. Yeah. This is a journey starting 3 years back. That one of the very successful projects we have done is at Sveaskog, which is the biggest forest company in Sweden. In Sweden, we have since summer of 2018 a huge problem with bark beetles due to the global warming. The bark beetle eats through the bark, and during a couple of weeks, it kills the tree. It spreads rapidly, and we have an exponential growth. This problem cost 7 million cubic meters of wood to be destroyed in Sweden only in 2019, creating a big financial loss for the company, of course, but also, more important, environmental negative impact due to the carbon oxide released into the air. This solution was the starting point to create the now publicly available service to find the bark beetle outbreaks in near real time. It was established together with the Swedish Forestry Board and launched in March this year. To generalize the story, we now have the ability to find dead and dying trees using AI and satellite images, which we can use for many applications, for instance, preventing fire hazards. Please don't click forward. To make it all come together, we want to bring time-depth know-how from the Indigenous trapper and enhance them with AI. This to be enabled to scale over real large areas. To do this, we used geosatellite intelligence with analysis of satellite photos, combining them with airborne photos from helicopters and drones to validate and fine-tune. In the center of it all, the goal is to keep the tree standing and preserve a forest life. By using geosatellite intelligence, we can detect changes over time in the forest and assure that the forest life is sustained and the carbon oxide is preserved. We can also find areas that for some reason trees are either dead or dying. With this knowledge, we can direct the trappers to perform precision forestry and remove the dead trees, the fuel, from the forest and decrease the risk of fire hazards. This is only the first part of the story, to share knowledge, scale it, and take action. And click once. The second part of the story is to create the engine, making it all possible from a financial and revenue perspective. With this future insured carbon offset product, we can let companies of the Western world contribute to this ecosystem by compensating their climate footprint. This gives the trappers the ability to take the actions needed to make the wheel of this new ecosystem turn, an ecosystem which creates insured carbon offsets from sustained forest life enabled with AI. And next. So this is the future that we are working towards. Thank you for listening. We want to make a difference, and if you are interested to be part of it, please connect to us.
Thank you very much, Joachim and Sugu. So we are soon approaching the end of this session. Just as a quick conclusion before taking the Q&A, I hope you enjoyed the session. We're trying to show you some concrete benefits of AI technology for purpose, and here the purpose is the environmental purpose. We have seen here a good example of having a convergence between digital transformation and environmental transformation. So we need to gain more and more trust in AI to leverage even more this technology for the environment and more globally for the sustainability goals of an organization. So we have now this incredible map with the SDG that help us make sure the implementation of AI serve a sustainability interest of the society. So Capgemini is deeply involved in this initiative, as you saw, and we can actually plan to release a dedicated report named Planet AI on November 15th. So we conduct many interviews to better understand how AI can help and boost a climate action strategy. So do not hesitate to keep following us and send us any update if you want to go deeper on that topic. So we'll be glad to work with you to implement AI for your sustainability goals. Thank you, everybody. I think we have now a few minutes to have the questions ready. Let me take over the questions. So if we do have some question on the chat, one question is about the tendency of that I share, I think, at the introduction. Are you sure the tendency of 80% by 2050 will be maintained in the post-COVID era, at least in the Southern Europe? Many already decided or are planning to move in rural area. Yes, I answer this question within the chat, I guess. Any other question on the chat or on your site, Tanvir?
No other questions that I found on the chat, Vincent.
Okay. So if we don't have,
we have one more
we
have one more survey if participants would be willing to engage us in.
Yeah.
Which
maybe we can share the survey. Yeah. To conclude, we share the survey. So here again, you should go on mentally.com with a new code, and we're just asking you. No, it's the slide before. Can you?
This would be it.
Is the yeah, but maybe with the code it's better to have the it's
the code is on top.
Yeah, on top. Yeah, perfect. So we're just asking you in terms of feasibility and in terms of impact on SDG on your side. What do you think it's much more relevant? Is it the cases on climate disaster prediction, or on biodiversity conservation, or on pollution monitoring? We're just asking you to rank it, or sustainable agriculture and food, or smart cities and energies. So that's the result, Tanvir?
Yes, yes. So these results are in live. So as people keep submitting the results, you should see it change.
Oh, okay, great.
We have 4 participants so far, and this is how they have answered for climate disaster prediction.
Okay.
And for pollution monitoring, this is how they leave a feasibility and the impact. You can see the points placed. Now it's again changed because we have 5 participants who answered so far.
Okay. So maybe let's wait 10 seconds if we have some more participants. Eight. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Maybe Tanvir, you can explain us what does it mean? It's the meaning of, for example, the number 4 here.
For example, so if you see number 4, we have 8 participants in total who have answered. And if you consider the point on the top now, on the top right, you see that the person who has answered over there, he believes that the impact on SDGs that AI can have on sustainable agriculture and food is very high. And the feasibility of it to happen is also very high.
Yes, so it's the highest, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The topmost point on the right, that is how you would interpret it. So you see all the participants who have presented their answers for question 4, what they rate sustainable agriculture and food to have an impact and to have the feasibility of it. So now 10 people have answered. So if you check the climate disaster prediction, you should see how participants feel the feasibility and impact that climate disaster prediction can have based on the individual points you see on the graph.
Okay. Okay, it's more clear. Okay. So thank you very much, everybody. I can see one question regarding the Planet AI report. So it will be released, as I said, on around the 15th of November. So so far there is no link. Write me an email or try to reach me if you want to have some more information. I'll be answering you right away.
All right, then Vincent, the floor is yours. Thank you everyone for participating.
Yeah, thank you everyone for your participation. We are now about to finish this session. So thank you all.